Hey everyone, welcome back to Yusuf Reacts. Today, we're diving into the world of Marvel with the movie that started it all for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Iron Man. Released in 2008, directed by Jon Favreau, and starring Robert Downey Jr. as the iconic Tony Stark. Let's break down the film, its key moments, and why it remains a fan favorite. Suit up, and let's get started. Iron Man opens with a bang, quite literally. We meet Tony Stark, a genius billionaire playboy philanthropist, who heads Stark Industries. The company specializes in advanced weaponry for the U.S. military. Tony's character is introduced during a weapon demonstration in Afghanistan where he's showing off the Jericho missile. Things take a dark turn when Tony's convoy is ambushed, and he's captured by a terrorist group called the Ten Rings. This scene sets the tone for Tony's transformation, both physically and metaphorically. In captivity, Tony meets fellow prisoner Yinsen, who saves his life by installing an electromagnet in his chest to keep shrapnel from reaching his heart. Together, they build the first Iron Man suit, the Mark I, to escape. This pivotal moment marks the birth of Iron Man. This scene is not just about survival. It's the genesis of Tony's journey from a weapons manufacturer to a hero who uses his genius for good. The escape is thrilling and showcases Tony's ingenuity and determination. After escaping, Tony returns home with a new perspective. He announces that Stark Industries will no longer manufacture weapons. This decision shocks the board, especially Obadiah Stane, played by Jeff Bridges, who was Tony's father's partner. Tony's decision signifies a turning point. He begins to develop the Iron Man suit with advanced technology, leading to the creation of the iconic red and gold Mark III suit. Tony refines his suit and starts testing its capabilities. These scenes are some of the most fun in the movie, as we see Tony's creative process and sense of humor. Once the suit is ready, Tony takes it for a spin, saving a village in Afghanistan from the Ten Rings and destroying his own weapons that had been sold to terrorists. This act solidifies his role as Iron Man. But every hero needs a villain. Obadiah Stane, envious of Tony and hungry for power, becomes Ironmonger. The final showdown between Iron Man and Ironmonger is intense, highlighting not just physical strength but also the clash of ideologies. After being held captive in an Afghan cave, billionaire engineer Tony Stark creates a unique weaponized suit of armor to fight evil. Tony Stark, genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist, son of legendary inventor and weapons contractor Howard Stark. When Tony Stark is assigned to give a weapons presentation to an Iraqi unit led by Col. James Rhodes, he's given a ride on enemy lines. That ride ends badly when Stark's Humvee that he's riding in is attacked by enemy combatants. He survives barely with a chest full of shrapnel and a car battery attached to his heart. In order to survive, he comes up with a way to miniaturize the battery and figures out that the battery can power something else. Thus, Iron Man is born. He uses the primitive device to escape from the cave in Iraq. Once back home, he then begins work on perfecting the Iron Man suit. But the man who was put in charge of Stark Industries has plans of his own to take over Tony's technology for other matters. After being kidnapped by a powerful terrorist organization, brilliant industrialist Tony Stark narrowly escapes using an iron suit he crafted from scrap metal and spare parts. Upon returning home, he devotes all of his time and resources to perfecting the Iron Man suit and using it to fight evil, sometimes in the place where he least expects it. Billionaire, genius, playboy, philanthropist. All this and more sums up Tony Stark. After a weapons presentation in Iraq, Stark gets himself captured, which also results in him having a chest filled with shrapnel. Needing to escape, he miniaturizes it and dons a suit of armor. This results in the birth of the armored Avenger Iron Man. Once returned safely, Stark works to perfect his design and uses it to protect all mankind. This activity catches the eye of a mysterious organization known as S.H.I.E.L.D. On the other hand, the chairman of Stark Industries discovers this and has plans of his own for Tony's work. Playboy and genius Tony Stark Robert Downing Jr. has inherited the defense contractor Stark Industries from his father, the legendary Howard Stark. Tony was brilliant from the beginning and built his first circuit board when he was 4 years old. His first engine at the age of 6, graduated from MIT at 17. Howard died in a car accident soon thereafter. Obadiah Stane took over the company till Tony returned to take over at the age of 21. Tony has subsequently unleashed an array of smart weapons that have changed the face of conflict forever. Journalist Christine Everhart confronts Tony in Vegas and presents evidence that his company is selling weapons to terrorists and are being used to subjugate native defenseless populations across the globe. Tony has sex with Christine. Pepper Potts is Tony's personal assistant. Harold Happy Hogan John Favreau is Stark's bodyguard and chauffeur. Paul Bettany is Stark's personal AI system. Tony is in war-torn Afghanistan with his friend and military liaison, Lieutenant Colonel James Rhodes Terrence Howard, to demonstrate the new Jericho missile. Rhodes and Tony are very good friends. The Jericho missile incorporates the new repulsor technology and can deliver explosive payloads to multiple targets with a single missile over a relatively large combat area. Stark is critically wounded in an ambush where he notices that terrorists have access to weapons manufactured by his own company and imprisoned in a cave by the terrorist group the Ten Rings. An electromagnet powered by a heavy car battery built by fellow captive Yinsen Shan Tube keeps the shrapnel that wounded Stark from reaching his heart and killing him. Ten Rings leader Raza Theron Tahir offers Stark freedom in exchange for building a Jericho missile for the group, but Tony and Yinsen agree Raza will not keep his word. Yinsen tells Tony that his weapons in the hands of terrorists is his legacy to the world. Tony and Yinsen use the components from other missiles also manufactured by Stark Industries and extract palladium, a precious metal, from it. They use the limited forge facilities available to them and work meticulously. Stark and Yinsen secretly build a powerful electric generator called an arc reactor. Tony had a large arc reactor back home, powering his factory, and he has built a miniaturized version of it to power Stark's electromagnet instead of the bulky battery, and then begin to build a suit of armor to escape. The suit is a very basic design, heavy and bulky. It has rudimentary weapons, a flamethrower, and rocket thrusters at the base to launch the occupant into flight. With the arc reactor, it can be powered for about 15 minutes. The Ten Rings attack the workshop when they discover what Stark is doing. Yinsen sacrifices himself to divert them while Stark's suit powers up. The armored Stark battles his way out of the cave to find the dying Yinsen. Then an enraged Stark burns the terrorists' munitions and flies away, only to crash in the desert, destroying the suit. After being rescued by Rhodes, Stark returns home and announces that his company will no longer manufacture weapons. Obadiah Stane, Jeff Bridges, his father's old partner and the company's manager, advises Stark that this may ruin Stark Industries and his father's legacy. Tony reveals to Stane that he has built a new miniaturized arc reactor. The reactor has the power to provide clean energy to the entire planet. In his home workshop, Stark builds an improved version of his suit, as well as a more powerful arc reactor for his chest. Personal assistant Pepper Potts Gwyneth Paltrow places the original reactor inside a small glass showcase. Though Stane requests details on his work, a suspicious Stark decides to keep his work to himself. At Stark's first public appearance after his return, reporter Christine Everhart Leslie Bibb informs him that Stark Industries weapons, including the Jericho, were recently delivered to the Ten Rings and are being used to attack Yinsen's home village. Stark also learns that Stane is trying to replace him as head of the company. Enraged, Stark dons his new armor and flies to Afghanistan, where he saves Yinsen's village and delivers a devastating blow to the Ten Rings. While flying home, Stark is shot at by two F-22 Raptor fighter jets. He phones Rhodes and reveals his secret identity in an attempt to end the attack. Meanwhile, the 10 Rings gather the pieces of Stark's prototype suit and meet with Stain, who subdues Raza and has the rest of the group eliminated. Stain has a new suit reverse-engineered from the wreckage, seeking to find any other weapons delivered to the 10 Rings. Stark sends assistant Virginia Pepper Potts to hack into the company computer system from Stain's office. She discovers Stain has been supplying the terrorists and hired the 10 Rings to kill Stark, but the group renege. Potts later meets with Agent Phil Coulson Clark Gregg of the Strategic Homeland Intervention, Enforcement and Logistics Division, a counter-terrorism agency, to inform him of Stain's activities. Stain's scientists cannot duplicate Stark's arc reactor, so Stain ambushes Stark at home, using a sonic device to paralyze him and take his arc reactor. Left to die, Stark manages to crawl to his lab and plug in his original reactor. Potts and several SHIELD, Strategic Homeland Intervention, Enforcement and Logistics Division, agents attempt to arrest Stain, but he dons his suit and attacks them. Stark fights Stain but is overmatched without his new reactor to run his suit at full capacity. Stark lures Stain atop the Stark Industries building and instructs Potts to overload the large arc reactor there. This unleashes a massive electrical surge that knocks Stain unconscious, causing him and his armor to fall into the exploding reactor, killing him. The next day, the press has dubbed the armored hero Iron Man. Agent Coulson gives Stark a cover story to explain the events of the night and Stain's death. At a press conference, Stark begins giving the cover story, but then announces that he is Iron Man, prompting the reporters to ask more questions. In a post-credits scene, Harold, director Nick Fury Samuel L. Jackson visits Stark at home, and, noting that Iron Man is not the only superhero in the world, says he wants to discuss the Avengers initiative. The battle is fierce, but with the help of his assistant Pepper Potts, played by Gwyneth Paltrow, Tony emerges victorious. This fight cements Iron Man's place as a true superhero.